Hello, beautiful Scorpio soul. Let's move directly into what matters most. A powerful financial shift is drawing closer, and the energy around May 18th and 19th, 2026, carries something unusually significant for you. Not months from now, not after you've exhausted yourself proving your worth, but here, in this moment. This opening has been forming quietly beneath the surface for longer than you realize. And if this video somehow found its way to you today, I want you to hear this clearly. You were not led here by accident. Something deeper has been trying to reach you for a while now, perhaps through repeating numbers, a feeling you couldn't explain, or an inner pull that refused to leave you alone. However it appeared, there was a reason your attention turned toward this message, and that matters. This is more than another astrology video drifting through your feed. It's a space where timing, intuition, and emotional readiness meet each other all at once. Scorpio, you've spent so much time protecting your energy, carrying silent battles, and reading beneath the surface of everything around you. But this season is asking something different from you now. It's asking you to open your hands instead of holding everything so tightly. The universe is no longer asking you to wait until you feel perfectly prepared someday. It's asking you to receive, and receiving takes trust, alignment, and the willingness to believe that what is meant for you can finally arrive without struggle. Over these next few minutes, we'll explore why May 18th and 19th carry such strong, energetic movement for you, and how the cosmic alignments surrounding Venus, Pluto, and the shifting lunar energy may be opening doors that once seemed hidden from view. We'll also look at the tarot messages surfacing so strongly around this moment for Scorpio. Themes of renewal, buried opportunities returning, and a new financial foundation are beginning to rise into the light. And yes, I'll guide you through ways to prepare your energy, your mindset, and even the atmosphere around you so you're emotionally and spiritually available when this blessing begins to land. But before we go any further, let me pause for a moment and say something honestly. Thank you for being here. The fact that you chose to press play carries more meaning than you may realize. Every like, every comment, and every subscription helps strengthen this growing spiritual space and allows this message to reach the people who may need it most right now. So if this message is already stirring something inside you, take a moment to comment below. Share the number that keeps appearing in your life lately. Maybe it's 2, 25, 888, or something entirely different. Leave it in the comments to anchor your alignment, because when signs are witnessed together, their energy seems to deepen and expand. Scorpio, you are not simply watching this unfold from the sidelines. You are part of what is opening now. The universe is responding to the quiet shift happening within you, to the part of you that is finally becoming willing to trust what you feel before you fully understand it. And if you stay with me through the rest of this message, you won't just understand what's beginning to move around you. You'll leave knowing how to recognize it when it arrives. There's a quiet intelligence moving beneath certain moments in life, a kind of invisible rhythm we rarely notice until everything suddenly begins aligning with almost unsettling precision. Around May 18th and 19th, 2026, Scorpio, your energetic doorway doesn't simply open, it begins to move like a tide returning to shore. What's unfolding in the sky during this period is more than astrology. It feels like a reflection of the version of you that has already survived enough to become ready for more. As Venus forms a powerful connection with Pluto during these days, something buried deep within your emotional landscape starts rising toward the surface. Venus governs value, attraction, and the way you receive both love and abundance, while Pluto speaks to transformation, truth, and the quiet power that comes from reclaiming the parts of yourself you once hid away. Together they ask a difficult but necessary question. What part of you still struggles to believe that the life you desire can truly belong to you? This alignment carries a rare kind of healing energy, It asks you to loosen the old belief that prosperity exists for other people while you remain stuck, waiting for permission. You've carried responsibilities, disappointments, and emotional armor for so long that receiving may have begun to feel unfamiliar. But the energy surrounding this moment keeps whispering the same thing. You no longer need to make yourself smaller to fit inside an outdated version of your life. This is where self-worth and opportunity finally begin recognizing one another. And as that shift settles into place, the Gemini full moon begins illuminating the conversations, thoughts, and unexpected signals connected to your next financial opening. Full moons tend to reveal what has been building beneath the surface, and in Gemini, those revelations often arrive through communication. A message you thought was finished may suddenly return. A forgotten contact could resurface. An email, an offer, or a passing conversation may carry more weight than it first appears. What seems small during this period may hold far more meaning than logic initially allows. These moments are not random interruptions. They are subtle signals asking for your attention. Scorpio, your instincts already know how to sense what lives underneath appearances, but during this phase, your guidance comes less from overanalyzing and more from noticing what continues repeating around you. And perhaps the most powerful layer surrounding this window is the connection between Jupiter and Lilith in Taurus, a rare combination carrying both expansion and untamed inner strength. Jupiter magnifies whatever it touches, while Lilith represents the part of you that refuses to abandon its truth any longer. In Taurus, this energy becomes deeply connected to worth, security, and the hidden resources already sitting within reach. For some, this may appear as an opportunity once abandoned, returning in a new form. For others, it could feel like a financial cycle from the past, reopening after a long period of silence. Something you once turned away from because you doubted your readiness may begin calling to you again. Only now, your relationship with yourself has started changing, and that changes everything. This energy is not asking you to chase abundance with desperation. It's asking you to recognize what has quietly been waiting for your willingness to receive it. And yes, that realization can feel overwhelming at first. Sometimes blessings do not arrive like lightning splitting the sky. Sometimes they arrive softly, like a knock at a forgotten door somewhere deep inside your own life. That is why your everyday actions matter so much during this period. The way you answer a phone call, the way you respond to an unexpected message, the way you trust yourself before every sign becomes obvious, these moments shape whether the doorway remains open. This is no longer about exhausting yourself trying to force outcomes. It's about learning how to receive without fear tightening around your instincts. And when you find yourself asking why all of this is happening now, remember that divine timing rarely explains itself in advance. It only asks for your participation. Sometimes a quiet decision made from peace instead of fear becomes the exact moment everything begins shifting underneath the surface. Sometimes a whispered prayer, spoken almost absent-mindedly during an ordinary day, becomes the opening through which something life-changing finally enters. So pay attention to what repeats itself. Notice the patterns that continue finding you. Do not dismiss something meaningful simply because it arrives in an ordinary form. Miracles rarely announce themselves loudly. More often, they arrive disguised as familiar moments, carrying an entirely different feeling beneath them. And Scorpio, this period carries that exact energy. What appears to be coincidence is often a kind of hidden choreography. When the Ten of Pentacles, Judgment, and the Ace of Pentacles appear together during a heightened energetic phase like this, the message reaches far beyond simple financial prediction. These cards form a sequence of inheritance, awakening, and new beginnings rooted in the physical world. Each one carries its own emotional current, but together they reveal a deeper story about where you've come from, what within you is beginning to awaken, and the tangible future waiting for you to finally claim it. The Ten of Pentacles arrives first, and its message reaches far beyond material wealth alone. It speaks of legacy, emotional inheritance, and the quiet stability built across generations. This card asks you to reflect not only on what you hope to receive, but also on what within you is ready to continue forward. Is there a gift, a lesson, or even a long-buried blessing carried through your family line that is now asking to awaken through you? For many Scorpio souls, this moment is not about sudden luck or empty fantasy. It feels more like unlocking something that has been resting beneath the surface for years. Sometimes the desire for abundance does not begin with us alone. It lives in inherited fears, survival instincts, whispered prayers, and dreams passed silently from one generation to the next. This card reminds you that wealth is not only money, it is a pattern, and you may be the one meant to transform it into something entirely different. Then comes Judgment, the card that quietly asks the most from you emotionally. Its energy is not punishment, and it does not arrive to shame you. Instead, it feels like a deep internal call, asking you to rise beyond the version of yourself that kept waiting for certainty before moving forward. Often this card appears during seasons when you've been circling the same decision, sensing the pull toward something meaningful while still hesitating at the edge of it. Maybe part of you has been waiting for a clearer answer, a louder sign, or the perfect moment when fear finally disappears. But judgment rarely arrives through noise. It speaks through instinct, repetition, and the quiet knowing that continues returning no matter how many times you try to set it aside. In this moment, the question becomes impossible to ignore. What opportunity, idea, or path have you delayed because it felt too overwhelming, too exposed, or too powerful for the life you once believed you could hold? This card reminds you that readiness is often created through choice, long before it ever feels comfortable. And then the Ace of Pentacles appears, not as fantasy, but as a doorway opening into physical reality. It represents the tangible beginning that emerges when emotional awakening and practical opportunity finally meet. This card does not hand you the entire outcome all at once. It offers the first seed. That seed may appear as a business opening, an unexpected payment, a new client, a job opportunity, or a conversation you almost overlooked entirely. At first glance, it may not seem dramatic enough to change your life, but planted with intention and trust, it carries the potential to grow far beyond what your current perspective can fully imagine. That is the quiet beauty of aligned timing. The shifts that alter our lives most deeply often arrive without spectacle. Over the years, I've noticed that the people who receive the most meaningful breakthroughs are rarely the loudest in the room. They are usually the ones who learn to recognize the sacred weight hidden inside seemingly small moments. I've heard stories of people following a simple inner nudge, sending a message they almost deleted, applying for something they assumed would never work out, or reaching out one final time when logic told them not to bother. And somehow, that gentle decision became the moment everything started changing. So if this message feels familiar somewhere deep inside you, understand that this is not about earning your worthiness. You already carry that within you. This moment is about becoming emotionally, energetically, and practically available for what has been circling your life for much longer than you may realize. These three cards are not simply describing the future. They feel more like a quiet agreement between the person you are becoming and the life that has been slowly moving toward you all along. So do more than prepare your finances. Open your perspective, open your schedule, open the part of yourself that still hesitates to believe good things can fully arrive without struggle attached to them. Because what is trying to reach you cannot settle inside a space that remains emotionally closed. And what is beginning to move toward you now carries the power to shift far more than money alone. Not every preparation for abundance arrives through visible action. Sometimes it begins in subtler ways, through the thoughts you repeat to yourself, the emotional patterns you begin noticing more honestly, or even the small choices that slowly change the atmosphere surrounding your everyday life. For Scorpio, whose strength often lives beneath the surface, this season of preparation is not about pushing harder, proving yourself, or exhausting your energy trying to control every outcome. It's about alignment. It's about adjusting your inner world so it can fully recognize the opportunities already moving quietly toward you. What belongs to you does not require desperate chasing. It asks for emotional readiness and the willingness to finally trust what your instincts have been sensing all along. Even color, something that seems simple on the outside, carries an emotional language your nervous system understands deeply. Rose gold holds the energy of soft receptivity, helping loosen the inner tension that can form after years of surviving more than receiving. Ivory white reflects clarity, spaciousness, and the quiet calm needed to hold abundance without fear tightening around it. And deep sapphire carries a quieter kind of power, the steady confidence of someone who no longer feels the need to ask permission to thrive. Wearing these colors is not about appearance or performance. It becomes a subtle message sent both inward and outward. A reminder that you are opening yourself emotionally to what is trying to enter your life. It says, without needing to speak loudly, I am ready to receive what no longer needs to hide from me. And then there are the numbers appearing around you lately. Have you noticed 2, 25, or 888 showing up on clocks, receipts, or random places you almost dismissed? These patterns are not meaningless interruptions. Numbers often become one of the quietest ways the universe reflects timing back to us, especially during moments when deeper shifts are already unfolding underneath the surface. The number 2 speaks of partnership and emotional reciprocity, reminding you that abundance often enters through connection rather than isolation. The energy of 25 tends to appear near important decisions tied to stability, long-term security, or financial growth that requires maturity instead of impulse. And then there is 888, the number that seems to carry an almost magnetic weight when it appears repeatedly. It often signals cycles returning with greater force, blessings resurfacing, or opportunities finding their way back around once alignment has finally caught up with timing. But these signs only matter if you slow down enough to notice them. Preparation is not passive waiting. It is the process of clearing emotional and physical space for what is ready to arrive. It's saying no to situations that no longer reflect your worth, so you are able to recognize the right door when it finally opens in front of you. It also means beginning to think differently about yourself and your future, not through fantasy, but through grounded responsibility. You organize your finances. You revisit the goals you almost stopped believing in. You speak about your dreams with steadiness instead of embarrassment. These may seem like small adjustments, but they carry the energy of someone whose future self is already beginning to emerge. I've watched people completely shift their relationship with abundance, not because they forced life to change, but because they stopped living as though they were waiting to be chosen by it. They chose themselves first. And that quiet shift, repeated consistently over time, seemed to open doors they once believed were impossible to reach. I remember guiding someone who started each morning not with pressure or endless planning, but with one simple sentence spoken softly to herself. I receive what is already mine. Within weeks, a delayed payment she had nearly given up on unexpectedly arrived. Not because she chased it harder, but because her mindset, emotional energy, and willingness to receive finally moved into alignment with it. So pay attention not only to your responsibilities, but also to your emotional atmosphere. What colors keep pulling your attention lately? Which number continues appearing when you least expect it? What decision have you been postponing because part of you already knows how deeply it could change your life. The answers are already moving quietly around you, and when you begin listening with intention instead of fear, something shifts. You stop becoming a magnet for exhaustion and start becoming available for right timing, grounded ease, and the kind of prosperity that arrives without forcing itself into your life. Some of the most powerful turning points do not begin dramatically. They begin in silence, through something as small as a sincere sentence spoken at the right moment. And that is the deeper purpose behind this ritual known as the wealth gate. It is not about controlling miracles or demanding proof from the universe. It is about making space within yourself for what you've been asking to receive. When you write something down by hand, especially an affirmation like, "I open myself to receive wealth with grace and wisdom," you are doing far more than placing words onto paper. The movement itself becomes intentional, almost meditative, slowing your thoughts enough for your energy to settle into the present moment instead of racing ahead in fear or doubt. Writing by hand creates a bridge between the mind, the body, and the emotional truth you are finally becoming ready to hold. During a season like this, even a simple sentence can begin shifting the atmosphere inside you. It isn't simply repetition, and it isn't about trying to convince yourself of something empty. It's the process of teaching your nervous system that receiving no longer has to feel unsafe or unfamiliar. Every word becomes a quiet imprint, carried not only through thought, but through breath, emotion, muscle memory, and physical presence. The slower your hand moves across the page, the more your body begins understanding what your spirit has been trying to believe for a long time. And when you place that written affirmation into a container you trust, whether it's a small wooden box, a meaningful envelope, a journal tucked beside your bed, or even the wallet you carry every day, the symbolism begins speaking for you in ways logic alone never could. Certain objects carry emotional resonance because they hold memory, familiarity, and energy. Choosing a place for your affirmation quietly says, "What I'm inviting into my life already belongs somewhere within it." That small act of placement becomes a declaration of readiness far deeper than most people realize. Because symbols speak directly to the parts of us that survive beneath language, they communicate with instinct, emotion, and subconscious belief, especially during periods of transformation when the inner world is shifting quietly beneath the surface. That is the deeper essence of manifestation. It is not begging the universe for scraps of possibility. It is preparing yourself emotionally, spiritually, and physically for something your intuition already senses beginning to move closer. Over the years, I've watched people experience profound shifts through surprisingly gentle acts of readiness. I once worked with a woman who questioned every spiritual practice she encountered because part of her no longer trusted hope easily. Still, one evening she wrote down her affirmation, folded the paper carefully, and slipped it into the inside pocket of her bag without expecting anything to change. 2 days later, a former employer unexpectedly contacted her about a contract opportunity she believed had disappeared months earlier, something she had quietly stopped hoping for altogether. She didn't force the situation open. She didn't chase, manipulate, or beg for a response. She simply created space for something to return. And sometimes that openness, however small it may seem at first, changes the emotional current of everything around you. This is where movement becomes important. When intention is followed by action, even the smallest action, you begin signaling to life itself that you are no longer emotionally frozen in the place where fear left you. Maybe that means finally sending the message you've rewritten over and over without ever pressing send. Maybe it's saying yes to a course, an opportunity, or an idea that both excites and unsettles you because part of you already senses its potential. Or maybe it's reconnecting with someone whose presence once opened an important door in your life before pride, hurt, or emotional self-protection caused distance to grow between you. None of these actions require complete certainty, and they do not demand perfection from you first. They simply ask you to begin showing up differently, like someone who trusts that what they've been calling toward themselves is already beginning to move in return. I often remind the people I guide that opportunities rarely arrive because someone finally became flawless. More often, they arrive because someone became emotionally willing. And willingness can feel vulnerable, especially for those who spent years surviving by staying guarded, hyper-aware, or emotionally closed off. Sometimes alignment asks you to move before every answer becomes visible, before every fear has disappeared, and before logic can fully explain why your intuition keeps pulling you forward. Yet so many unexpected breakthroughs begin exactly this way. Financial relief arrives unexpectedly, delayed opportunities return, doors reopen that once appeared permanently sealed shut. And often these shifts happen not because someone struggled harder, but because they prepared themselves with intention and responded with quiet courage when the moment finally arrived. So as May 18th and 19th, 2026 draw closer, place your hand over your heart each morning and speak those words slowly and intentionally. I open myself to receive wealth with grace and wisdom. Say them as though some deeper part of you already recognizes their truth, even if your mind is still learning how to trust it fully. Let your voice carry the calm steadiness of someone who no longer needs endless evidence before allowing themselves to believe that life can change. And let the small actions you take afterward become part of that declaration as well. The way you answer opportunities, organize your space, respond to your instincts, or finally stop dismissing your own worth, all become part of the doorway opening in front of you. You do not need a dramatic gesture to unlock the wealth gate. You only need to trust that the door was never truly locked in the first place, only waiting for you to recognize your place on the other side of it. There is also a quieter truth about manifestation that people often overlook entirely. Receiving is not only spiritual or emotional, it is physical too. Your body carries stress, memory, tension, safety, openness, and belief all at once, even when your mind is trying to stay strong. And as this energetic window around May 18th and 19th continues unfolding, your body is not simply standing beside the process, watching it happen. It is becoming part of the way abundance slowly learns how to settle into your life.